Thursday is our work.
Good morning. In Hebrew, it's not just good morning, we say Boker Tov. Say Boker Tov.
Boker Tov.
Nicely done. The response, some people say the response is Boker, or as if to say a good morning, a morning of light and brightness. We've been waiting for this moment for a very long time, and to get to celebrate this Shabbos, this Shabbat together, to get to celebrate with Katie and the whole Didel family after 5 years of practicing and prepping for this day. Very exciting. I'm excited that we have Mariano here as well, playing piano. I'm excited that we have Rabbi Rachel and Baal Tefillah, Benny Sommerfeld, to help lead our service today. We'll be doing most of the service out of the blue siddur that should be in the seat back pocket in front of you. If not, then check behind you, check all around. If you have a phone, now's a great time to just turn it off. We'll be here for a little bit. There's no distractions. One of the joys of Shabbat is we don't worry about anything else. When we're here, it's just Shabbos. I'll be calling pages as well from our online siddur, just in case there are people joining us online who have found the link to our online PDF of a siddur. So we begin in here. You can open up your blue siddur to page 140, or online, if you're joining us online, we're on page 101. As we sing Ma Tovu, how great it is to be here, to be together, to be in person, to feel safe and comfortable in our shul. Katie up to the microphone now. We're on page 146. If you're able, please rise. Online, we're on page 103, but in this room, page 146, as Katie takes off her mask and leads us in the morning round.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lesech bina lechapin ben yom uben layla. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzomo. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani bat zborim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Okeach Hibrim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Malbi Sharuni. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Matir Asurim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Tokef Kefufim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Rokach haaretz al hamayim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa li kol tzarki. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher hechim tel tigaver. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'tifara. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, anoten layeh kolam. Amen. You
may be seated. Thank you so much, Katie. We'll turn forward now to page 152. If you are joining us online, we go to page 107. We say a bracha every morning, we say a blessing every morning that we get to learn something new. And since it's not a school day, officially, maybe you're not learning anything new today. So we're making sure that you learn something new today. We're going to say this blessing, and we're going to invite somebody up who has learned something this morning to share a piece of that learning with us. So we can show this appreciation for the fact that there's always more to learn. Page 152 or on line 107, the top half of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah v'ha'arev na Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Toratcha b'finu u'b'fi amcha beit Yisrael Minihiyeh anachnu v'tze'etza'enu v'tze'etza'ei amcha beit Yisrael kulanu yodei shemecha v'lomdei Toratecha lishma Baruch atah Adonai hamelamed Torah le'amo Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bacharbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Baruch atah Adonai Notain HaTorah. There's a group of people who every Saturday morning come here early before services and learn a little bit of our tradition, the words of our sages from 2,000 years ago. And Baz, are you here to teach us this morning? Baz is going to come up representing that august group to teach us a little bit from the 5th chapter of Pirkei Avot, sayings of wisdom from our sages from about 2,000 years ago.
Thanks, sir. Shabbat shalom. Good morning. To Katie and her wonderful family. We have a little bit of a different tactic this morning. We took a break from Pirkei Avot, and this morning we had the distinct honor and privilege of meeting with Rabbi Jack Schechter and the Rebbe Leah Schechter. And we studied not from Pirkei Avot, but from the Babylonian Talmud, from Brachot. Something that the rabbi had prepared for us. And we had a very nice lively discussion and a few highlights. This story is of Rabbi Yosef, one of the great sages. And he was walking along the road and wanted to pray, but he was uncomfortable praying while on the road because he thought that he might be accosted by strangers, people who had evil intent. So he happened upon a ruin. We don't know how he happened upon this or what it was a ruin of. And he went inside to pray so he could be by himself. In a dream, this was a dream, standing guard at the entrance to this ruin was Elijah. And Elijah treated him with great respect. When he came out, they had the discussion, why did you go in? You shouldn't really be going into a ruin all by yourself, because if somebody saw you, it might look bad for you. And so he told Elijah why. And Elijah said, well, what you should do is go ahead and pray on the road, but make the service just a little bit shorter. So we're not the first to suggest that from time to time. In any event, the upshot of this was, to every story there are at least two sides. There is on the one hand and on the other hand. On the one hand, you pray. On the other hand, you have to be reasonable doing it. And we have multiple examples where that should happen. And during the time in Yosef's prayer, he heard a voice, and we think it was the voice of God. And the voice was saying how seriously distressed he was for all of the terrible things that had happened to our people, and that frankly were his or her or their doing, that of God. From this, we learn that that God is a compassionate being, and being compassionate was how he was able to create compassionate human beings. I think that's a
Thank you very much, Buzz, for that, and for giving us permission to lengthen the service today by a lot, because we're not feeling any kind of distress today, just for taking hours, days maybe, to go through this whole service, make sure every word is said. I appreciate that so much. It should be noted, based on not based on that teaching, but thanks to that teaching, high holiday services will be a little bit truncated this year. Realizing that those who are in this room might not want to be in this room with masks on for high holidays, the normal 5.5 hours of Yom Kippur services, but rather to cut it down a little bit to maybe 5.25 hours, take out a few minutes here and there, just to make sure that we are, and have a little shvilka zone. So if you need to go outside, works today too. You need to go outside, take off your mask, breathe, do a little dance, stretch your legs, grab some water. You're welcome to do that at any point. Page 154 in our Siddur, or online, page 111, it's Kaddish de Rabbanan. We say thank you so much to Buzz for teaching us, to Rabbi and Leah Schechter for giving the text, and to thank you, God, for making sure that every day, no matter how old we are, we still get to learn something new every day. It's Kaddish de Rabbanan. Yid Gadal, Yid Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma, Yivara, Kirutei, Be'amlich Malchutei, Be'chaye Chon, U'biyome Chon, U'achaye, B'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, U'bizman Karim, B'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Mekorach, Le'olam, Lomei, Omaya, Yid Barach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yit Hadar, V'yit Aleh, V'yit Halal, Shmei Kudusha Richu, Le'ela Minkol Birchata V'Shirata, Tush Bechata V'Nechamata, Da'amiran Be'alma Be'ibru, Amen. Al Yisrael Be'al Rabbanan Be'al Talmidehon, Be'al Kol Talmidehon, Be'al Kol Man Be'askin Be'oraita, Di V'atra Hadain V'di V'chol Atar Yehei Lahon L'chon Shlama Rabbah China V'chista V'rachamim V'chayin Arichin U'zoner V'chei U'forkana Min Kodom Avuhon V'Bishmaya V'hara V'Himru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya V'chayin Tovim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'Himru Amen. Osei Shalom B'Romav, Hu Rachamav V'Aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael B'Imru, Amen. Those who are able, we rise once again on page 180, or online, page 122 for Baruch She'amar.
Baruch She'amar Baruch Agadol Baruch Ata Adonai.
You sovereign, singular, eternal God.
You may be seated. We turn forward to page 194, or if you're online, to page 141. It's the final psalm from the book of Psalms. Oddly enough, we have this teeny tiny book of Psalms at my house. I don't know where we got it from. It's literally a keychain is how tiny it is. And my kids walk around with it. And once in a while, I take out the book and say, Abba, read this to me. And it's the print is so tall. My eyes are young and perfect, but still, it's so tiny. And sometimes I just sing them the last psalm because it's one that we sing every single day, as if we're concluding the whole book of Psalms that day. The last line of the last psalm says, Kol haneshama tahalayah. Every single breath you take is a reminder that you can be praising God. Every time you take a breath, it's a time to bring goodness and holiness and kindness into the world. I read yesterday this interpretation that says that when you're out walking, you should go for a walk. Being outside is so good. You go out walking and you smell something nice. You have to thank God. And one of the rabbis from 2,000 years ago said, why would you thank God for smelling like just a tree? And they said, because kol haneshama tahalayah, every time you take a breath and you breathe something good, it's a chance to praise God. So we'll sing this final psalm on page 194. Our tradition has so many different approaches to God. That one paragraph that we just sang says that however you want to approach God, however you want to see God and feel God, is probably a way that is holy and that is okay. And for those of you who that's too ephemeral, who the breath of life is God, that's just not how I see God. We turn forward now to page 212, or if you're online, page 143. And somewhere in the middle of that big paragraph, in that second paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down, it says, Ozi bezimrat yavai ehili lishua, that it's my strength that feels godly. When I use my strength in a positive way, not just my breath, but my brawn, that's where I feel godliness. When we're winning, that's when we feel godliness. So we sing in a chant, Ozi.
God is my deliverance. God is my strength and my might. This is my
Amen.
we take that melody with us a few pages forward to 218, or on line page 147, 218. We start with the Fi Yisharim for this prayer of Shochenan.
הבוקר בשירי זמרה
now to page 220, where Katie will lead us in a Chatzikah.
Yikadal v'yikadal shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma dibra chutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechol yom echol. U'chayei b'chol Beit Yisrael. V'agala u'bizman ha'ariv v'yimeru. Amen. Yesh Rabbah Mevorach, Le'olam Olam Le'almaya, Yitbarach. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yifar v'yiraman ve'yinaseh ve'yihadar v'yaleh v'yhalal Shemei Lekudesha Le'elam Yikol Birchata ve'shirata
Andy and Tommy did such a great job last night opening the ark. We're going to ask them to come back up onto the bima to once again open the ark. Those who are able, please rise. The official morning service, the official shacharit service, begins on page 224 or online page 149.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotzei Or U'Borei Choshech Osei Shalom U'Borei Et HaKol.
You may be seated.
We continue on page 226. In Gedecha ve'in Zulatecha, Efes bilcha u'midom elach. In Gedecha Eloheinu ve'olam hazeh, ve'in Zulatcha Malkeinu lechei ha'olam haba. Efes bilcha go'aleinu limot ha'mashiach, ve'inu melacha moshienu litchiyat ha'metzim.
Page 228 or on line 151, the acrostic mystical poem El Adon.
back together on page 234. תתברך צור מלכנו וגואלנו, בורא קדושים ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, יוצרי משרתים ואשר משרתיו, כולם עומדים ברוך עולם, מושבעים ליהו יחד וקולי ואלוהים חיו מלך עולם, כולם אהובים, כולם ורובים, כולם גיבורים וכולם עושים ואימה אוהבים רצון כולם, וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה וטהרה בשירה וזמרה, מברכים ומשבחים, מברכים ומעריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא קדוש הוא, וכולם מקבלים עליהם על מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש עצמם לנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ובנימה קדושה, כולם כאחד עונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוך כל הארץ כבודו, והאבנים וחיות הקודש בראש גדול מנסים ומצרפים לעומתם משבחים ואומרים
ברוך כבוד אדוני.
We will come back together with Katie leading us at the bottom of page 236.
Or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, V'nizkeh Lanu, V'herald Oro, Baruch Atah Adonai, Yoter HaMe'orot.
Amen.
Ahava Rabbah begins at the top of page 238. Ahava Rabbah Avtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hem HaGedolah B'Torah, Chanachta Aleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Ba'avor Avotenu, Shematu Lecha, Shematu Lecha, Avinu Malkeinu.
As we prepare for Shema, we find the four corners of our talit Each one is called a tzitzit. We gather them together around one finger because the words say that God is going to gather all the people in peace. And so we find the four corners of ourselves, the four disparate parts of who we are to gather together to prepare for Shema.
בקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת, להודות לך ולהכירך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה.
Amen.
שמע ישראל. Adonai Elohecha, bechol levacha, ubechol nafshecha, ubechol me'odecha, v'hayu advarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shiyamtam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha v'beitecha, ולכתך בדרך, ובשופך ובמך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, Daber el bnei Yisrael, v'amarta lechem, v'asu lechem tzitzit, al kafeihem v'yotam, v'nadru al tzitzit, hakanaf v'tiltechem, v'hayam lachem. Tzitzit, or iten oto, whose hartem and komis v'ot Adonai, ve'asitem otam, ve'lo taturu, acharei ruachtem, ve'achareihem, asher atem zonim achareihem, leman tizkeru, ve'asitem and komis votai, Ten kedoshim le'Elohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, l'chiyot lachem l'Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, emet.
ודבריו חיים וקיימים ונאמנים ונחמדים לאדוני העולמים, על אבותינו ועלינו, על בנינו ועל דורותינו ועל כל דורות זרע ישראל עבדיך, על הראשונים ועל האחרונים, דבר טוב וקיים לעולם ועד, אמת ואמונה חוק ולא יעבוד, אמת שאתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, מלכנו מלך אבותינו, גואלנו גואל אבותינו, יוצאנו ארצו ישועתנו, כבודנו מצילנו מעולם שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך, עזרת אבותינו These are all words reminding us that what we do here today has ramifications. It connects us to those who came before us, and it connects us to those who will come after us. This is a sacred moment for us, but it is also a sacred moment for every door. When we say lador, for every generation of those who belong to the people of Israel. We come back together on page 252 for Mi Hamocha.
If you're able, please rise.
Sur Israel, Kuma Bezrat Israel, Uvdei Chinumecha, Yehuda Israel, O Aleinu, Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai,
Page 255 or on line 159.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor, HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Vikonei Hakol, Vizomer Hashtei Achol, Umebiko El Livnei Bneihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayim Mitzvotav, Rav Le'Hoshia, Mechokel Hayim B'Chesed, Mechayim Mitzim Be'Rabbanim Rabim, Somech Nochrim Le'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishem Ne'afar, Yichamo Chava B'Kurot, Umito Melach, Melech B'Rit, U'Ephraim, U'Matzmiach Teshuvah, B'Ne'eman atah v'Hachayot Meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaMeitim. Mekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Hashem shemarti shimoto, B'shmei marom, Hakatuv al yad neviyecha, V'kara ze el ze ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzebaot, Melocho haaretz kiboro. Az bekol ra'ash gadol, adir v'chazak mashmi'im kol, mitnasim v'umat serafim, v'umatam baruch yomeru, baruch elot Adonai imkomo, imkom chamalkim tofia, v'timlo chaleinu, ki mechakim anachnu lach. Atai Tingloch Betzion, Bekarov Biomeinu, Leolam Vaed, Tishkon, Tit Gadal Kadash, Betoch Yerushalayim Yircha, Bedor Bador, Unetzach Netzachim, Ve'eneinu Tirem, Natirena Malchutecha. All you David, Mashiach Tzidkecha, Yimloch Adonai Leolam, Elohai Zion, L'dor Vador, Hallelujah, L'dor Vador, L'dor Vador, L'dor Vador, L'dor Vador, L'dor Vador, Baruch atah Adonai El HaKadosh.
Oh, sweet Shalom, 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 Shalom Aleinu, V'yakol Yisrael, V'yakol Yoshei Torah, V'yimru Oh, say shalom, shalom, we are saying shalom, shalom, we are going Israel, we are going straight ahead,
As we mark this transition in our service from Shacharit to the Torah service, Katie is going to lead us in Kaddish Shalom.
You may briefly be seated.
Briefly.
From page 306 on line 167.
Yikidal Shmei Rabba Le'alma Yibrachute, Yamlich Mokute, V'chayechonu v'mechon, V'chayei Jehovah Yisrael, Ve'akala Ubizman Kari, Ve'imiru, Amen. Yehesh Me'rava Me'vora, Le'alma Mulam Me'almaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach V'Yishtabach, V'Yitbar V'Yirman V'Naseh, V'Yithadar V'Yaleh V'Halal, Shemei Dekudisha V'Yehu, Ve'elam Yikol B'Chata V'Shirata, Tush B'Chata V'Nechemata, Da'amin Ran Ve'alma Ve'imiru, Amen. Titkabash Chosmon U'U'Chon, Decho Yisrael Kadam Abuchon V'Bishmaya, Ve'imiru, Amen. Yehesh Lama Rabbamin Shmaya, Ve'chaim Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael, Ve'imiru, Amen. Osei Shalom Bin Romav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael, Ve'imiru, Amen.
We're on page 312 or online, page 168.
Name come over. Sorry, this is me. Name come over. I love you, Adonai. The name come Masecha. Malkutecha, Malkut. Kol olamim. וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו יצא. Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom. Avarachami etiva v'irtzonacha et Zion. Tivnei Roma Yerushalayim. Tivnei Roma Yerushalayim. Ki lecha levad b'tzavnu. Melech Elam v'Nitzah, Adon Olamim.
Before we take out the Sifrei Torah, the Torah scrolls from the Ark, we invite Kevin and Amy to come up here and pass along some of their personal Torah to Katie. Katie, please join us up here as your parents speak to you, share some words of wisdom.
Katie, I'd like to reminisce with you about a special bedtime ritual that goes back many, many years. I trust you recall how it began. There is a story of a beautiful baby girl named Catherine. And from that point in our ritual, you and I would make up story elements that were both fantasy and real life. I remember we would dream up some pretty amazing stories that at times would bring us both to tears of laughter because they were pretty fantastic. When I think back to these times, I want you to know that I love our connection and our time to dream together. Fast forward to a story I have about you today. Here you are today, so beautiful, elegant, poised, stylish, confident, proud. And by the way, I love your dress, and you wear it so well with your amazing smile. I will also venture to say perhaps you are feeling both excited and a touch nervous. Just know, it's okay to feel it all. In fact, it's really important throughout life, Katie, to give yourself the permission to feel all sorts of feelings in life. I'd also like to suggest that in big moments like the one we are living right now, we try to hold these moments by just slowing down and appreciating what this moment on the bima with your daddy is really all about. This is your time to shine, and you got this. I'd like to also take this moment, Katie, to honor you for your patience and positive spirit. It's been said that being the youngest is not the easiest position in the family, particularly when you have two rather bold and bossy older siblings. First, I would also like to acknowledge how well you handled having your bat mitzvah date postponed many times over the last year due to the pandemic. Your dad and I continue to notice your ongoing willingness to step up and be a team player for your family. In fact, when I needed a party planner consultation to help plan your siblings' bat and bar mitzvahs, you were there with support. You stepped up with tender, loving care, leadership, and countless hours of support. Thank you for sharing your creative gifts and the stylish flair in what you do.
You have also been right at the center of family craziness and good times. I know you have mixed feelings about your organic role of being the honorary mayor of our family. Yet know that it is our way of saying to you that you help bring some really helpful perspectives to our family life. You read people well, you are trustworthy, you have good intuition, and you know right from wrong. You are sensitive to others, and you are truly genuine. Your mother and I delight in watching your openness to learning about life and your ability to define yourself with a charming assertiveness and a humble attitude. We've shared your excitement in learning how to ride a bike, ski downhill, dance in recitals, perform in school plays, achieve a black belt in karate, learn to chant Hebrew, and experience international travel, where we went to Israel as a family 4 years ago. We've also seen you experience taking on leadership roles, like running for elective office with ASB and NCL. We've seen you be a friendship club organizer. We've marveled at your graceful dance moves as seen on TikTok. We've seen you to be an ideal person and trendsetter based on your sense of style, with enviable furniture selection and room decor. And yes, we've noticed you've been identified as some sort of up-and-coming influencer. We see the UPS trucks dropping off products to you, hoping you market their products based on your aesthetic online postings.
Becoming a bat mitzvah is about spiritual, emotional, and an intellectual journey that links our past family origin stories to our present day life, helping us find greater meaning in life. I feel blessed to have had 4 joyful and spiritual moments up here at the Bima, acknowledging major milestones in our family's spiritual journey. 4 years ago, we were all celebrating Annie's bat mitzvah. 3 years ago, we celebrated Tommy's bar mitzvah. And how can we forget 3 years ago, we celebrated my own B'nai mitzvah too. Your journey, Katie, has allowed our family to really slow down and refocus on the elements of life that really matter. Your presence in our family 13 plus years ago truly completed our family in the most perfect way. And your bat mitzvah celebration today provides a beautiful reminder that your entire family is together on this bat mitzvah journey with you. I'd like to encourage you to hold on to all the love that is gathered around you today and to let your bat mitzvah journey be a source of personal strength for you. As your dad and I wrap up our personal conversation with you, I'd like to remind you to listen to your instincts. Use your integrity and allow your inner voice to be your guide to decision-making. Give yourself permission to always use your beautiful voice to speak up and allow your positive energy and life spark to lead. It is your time now to begin writing your own story, telling it just the way you want it told. Always remember, you get to choose to be the main character of your making and have the final say making your dreams come true.
You are an amazing daughter with whom we love very much, and also a caring sister, loving granddaughter, loyal friend, and lifelong learner. Your mother and I are so honored and blessed to be up here with you on the Bima, celebrating your special bat mitzvah day. We're very proud of you, and we love you very much. If you're able, please rise. After the Deidel's Torah, we'll look into our own Torah. We'll open up the ark.
Adonai, ve'afutzu oivecha, ve'yanusu lisanecha, ibanecha, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, ki mitzion tetzei Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato.
On page 316, Be'anarachis.
Ve'anarachis, ve'lishme karisha, karisha yakira, ana emar tushbechan, yehera v'kadama, tetitach libi ve'oraheta, betashli nishali delibi, belivadechol amach Yisrael, letavu lechaylim velishlam. Amen.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai Tzvi, u'neromema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai ha'Torah, ve'ha'Menorah, ve'ha'Tiferet, ve'ha'Netzach, ve'ha'Hod. Ki'o b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, ki'ol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai amalacha, yamid na'aseh bechol rosh. Adonai Eloheinu, ve'ishtachtavu le'har kodesho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, ve'ishtachtavu le'har kodesho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu, Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, ve'ishtachtavu le'har kodesho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, ve'ishtachtavu le'har kodesho.
be seated.
Ki tavo literally means when you come to the promised land, to that place you're looking for, to that place you're going towards. Ki tavo. For the last few weeks, we have been reading Torah portions where Moses is reminding Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, of all of the things that have happened while they've been wandering in the desert for 40 years. Of all of the most important things, the morals of the story, saying to them, when you get there, ki tavo, when you get there, don't forget that you wandered. Don't forget that you were hungry and God fed you. Don't forget the 10 Commandments. When you get there, here's what you can carry with you. And to remind you, there's this mass of people, the children of Israel. They can kind of see the promised land. They're in the mountains outside. You can see glimpses of where they're going, but they're not there yet. They've been wandering for a whole generation, but they're not quite there yet. And that got me thinking, whereas Ki Tavo talks about reminding us to give offerings of the finest fruits, and reminds us that we have to follow God's laws, otherwise there will be famine and plague. We, those of us in this room, though we are not wandering in the desert for 40 years, it might feel like that sometimes, especially this last year and a half. This last year and a half, as we have definitely been kind of stuck in a place that hasn't felt like normal life, that hasn't quite felt like where we're going towards. And now, with vaccines, with masks, with science, with research, we're getting to that point where we see glimpses of where we're going. Like Bnei Yisrael, we are standing, hopefully, God willing, closer and closer to the end of this desert we have been in. And what I wanted to do was just take a minute, and I want to ask you, if we were to write our own Ki Tavo when we get there, if we were to ask ourselves, what are the morals of the story? What are the main lessons from the last almost 2 years of this plague that we have experienced, of being at home, of communicating electronically, of being very careful of our germs and our hands and our breathing, going to the store, and respecting people's preferences in space, of finding new ways to worship and to build friendships and to connect with family and with nature? What is our list of the morals of the story or the rules? So what I'm going to ask Mariano in a second to play some calm music for about a minute, just a minute. And I'd like everyone here to ask yourself, okay, what did I learn? What's the moral of the story from our metaphorical desert we've been wandering in for the last 2 years? What is the moral of the story of what we have learned? If we were to write Ki Tavo, when we get there to the other side of this pandemic, what are the lessons we should remember? So again, I'm going to ask, just to warn you, I'm going to ask if anybody can share what's something they have learned during this pandemic. Because I'm curious. I'm curious when we arrive to the other side, when we get there, Ki Tavo, what will we have learned and how will we be different? So Mariano, if you could play just for a minute or so, and everybody think. I'll be back in 60 seconds or so. come back together. Would anybody be willing to share? We don't all have to share. Just, I'm curious. What are some of the lessons that we are taking with us when we arrive, Kitavo, when we arrive on the other side? What lessons have we learned? Anyone? I'm seeing a couple people pointing at other people.
Flexibility.
Flexibility is good. Yeah, that's true. Most things, if not everything, is in some way a team effort. Amen. I would also say, I would add on to that, especially Judaism. Judaism is not meant to be done alone. Like, culturally, religiously, it's not a thing where you're supposed to be alone. It's a team thing. Someone back there was raising their hand? No? Make the most out of every day. Yes, we have been keenly reminded that that some parts of life really are unsure. And that even when things maybe aren't playing out as perfectly as we would like them to, there is still beauty. We can still make the most out of the day, even if it's a difficult day. Let's do two more.
Health is well, and tomorrow is an unknown.
Health as well?
Yeah.
Health is well, and tomorrow is an unknown.
Well,
Wealth, there we go, Max. This is one of the things I've learned is that when you can't see people's mouths, you really have to listen closely. Health is well, and
tomorrow is an unknown.
And tomorrow is an unknown. Yeah, there are things that really are mysteries, even though we have, weather forecasts. There really are things that are unknown. Do one more. Anyone on the Bima want to do one?
We had a hand say it.
We owe our diligence. We owe our community's health to our own diligence.
We owe our communities and our neighbors' health to our own diligence. That idea that we really are bound together. Thank you to those of you who shared. I would like to think that some of these are also lessons that have been learned by humans around the globe in the last 2 years, and that these are lessons that in a way will bind us together as we move forward. But today we're going to be reading Ki Tavo from this story, from this group of children of Israel, and we will learn some of the lessons which they are hoping to carry with them into the other side. Ki Tavo begins on
1142. So you
There
can
we
put your
go.
blue book away for now and open up the reddish colored book, Etz Chaim, page 1142. If you're joining us online, you can find it somewhere out there in Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 11. We'll be reading 7 sections from this Torah and a section from a separate Torah. And on each section we say a bracha, a blessing. And so we'll call up for the first bracha, for this first blessing of the Torah, grandparents Francis and Mervyn, all the way from a foreign country, to come up here and bless our Torah for us as they make their way up. Ve'ya'azor, v'yagen v'yoshia l'cho ha'chosi bo v'nomar amen. Hakol havu godel Eloheinu v'kol ba'torah. Ya'amdu tzipor achaya bat Yosef ve'Esther Rezel. U'meir ben Eliyahu v'Chana. Rishon Baruch Shantan Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'Kedushato. Ba'atem hadbekim Adonai Elohechem Chaim kulchem hayom. Our first Torah reading, actually our first 2 Torah readings, will be done by John Hops via the miracle of Zoom and live stream. So you can direct your eyes to the screen if you're in the room for the Torah reading part, unless you're following along in the book at 1142 and verse 12.
Baruch Adonai HaTorah. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kedeshanu kirva harbanu mikol hamim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. כי תכלה לעשר את כל מעשר תבואתך בשנה השלישית שנת המעשר, ונתת ללוי, לגר, ליתום ולאלמנה, ואכלו בשעריך ושבעו, ואמרת לפני אדוני אלוהיך, ביארתי הקודש מן הבית, וגם נתתי ללוי ולגר, ליתום ולאלמנה, כל מצוותך אשר ציוותני, לא עברתי ממצוותיך ולא שכחתי, לא אכלתי בעוני ממנו, ולא ביארתי ממנו בטמא, ולא נתתי ממנו למת, שמעתי בקול אדוני אלוהי עשיתי ככל אשר ציוויתני, השקיפה ממעון קודשך מן השמיים, וברך את עמך, את ישראל, ואת האדמה, אשר נתת לנו, כאשר נשבעת לאבותינו, ארץ זבת חלב ודבש.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam notav b'kolinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yes, your clock, come stand next to me for the second Aliyah. John is still going to read Torah for us. We invite Wayne and Noah up here onto the bima to bless this Torah. Yamdu Tzuriel ben Meir ben Zipporah, Eliyahu Yosef ben Tzuriel ben Shenu Malka, Sheni.
Baruch Adonai Barak, Baruch Adonai Barak Olam Ba'ed, Baruch Adonai Barak Olam Ba'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Toratav, Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Amen. Hayom hazeh Adonai Elohecha mitzavcha la'asot et hachukim ha'ele ve'et hamishpatim v'shemarta v'asita otam v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha et Adonai ha'emarta hayom lihiot lecha Elohim v'lalechet bidracha v'lishmor chukav u'mitzvotav u'mishpatav v'lishmoa b'kolo Adonai emericha hayom lihiot lo la'am segula kasher diber lach v'lishmor kol mitzvotav v'lititcha elyon al kol hagoyim asher asa litila v'leshem ultifaret v'liot ka'am kadosh Adonai Elohecha kasher diber.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah v'chayei olam natan b'toteinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Yasher Koach. For the third Aliyah, we call it Michael Weiss. Join us on the Bima, and Rivka will be reading Torah for us. Ya'amod Menachem ben Aryeh Shlishi.
Amen.
אמן. ויצב משה בזקני ישראל את העם לאמור, שמור את כל המצווה אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום. והיה ביום אשר תעברו את הירדן אל הארץ אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך, והקמת לך אבנים גדולות, וסדדת אותם בשיא, וכתבת עליהן את כל דברי התורה הזאת בעוברך, למען אשר תבוא אל הארץ אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך, ארץ זבת חלב ודבש. כאשר דיבר אדוני אלוהי אבותיך אשר דיבר אדוני אלוהי אבותיך לך.
Amen. Yes, we invite up now Tzvi Kalinsky to read Torah for us, and Tommy and Henny to join us on the Bima as they say the bracha of the Torah. Ya'amdu Eliyahu Yosef ben Shmuel Nehemiah Miriam Chana Rezo bat Shmuel Nehemiah Miriam Revi'i. Baruch et Adonai Hambarach. Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'harvanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
V'haya Dovrechem et hayarden tahakimu et havanim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavechem hayom bahar elal v'sadeta otam basi Uvanita sham mizbeach l'Adonai Elohecha mizbach avanim lo tanif aleihem barzel avanim shlemot tivneh et mizbach Adonai Elohecha V'haleta alav olod l'Adonai Elohecha וזבחת שלמים ואכלת שם, ושמחת לפני אדוני אלוהיך, וכתבת על האבנים את כל דברי התורה הזאת באר היטב.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan betoknenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Following Tommy and Annie, we now invite up Amy and Kevin for the fifth Aliyah. Ya'amdu Shmuel Nehemiah ben Meir ben Tzipora, Miriam bat Chaim Sarah Etel Chamishi. If you're following along with us in the Chumash, we are on page 1145 at verse 6. Backtrack a little bit.
Baruch atah Baruch Adonai habarach, Baruch Adonai habarach elam ba'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'haranu mikol ha'amin, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Avanim shlemot tivneh et mizbach Adonai Elohecha, v'haleta alav v'lod Adonai Elohecha, v'zavachta shlamim v'achalta sham, v'samachta lifnei Adonai Elohecha, וכתבת על האבנים את כל דברי התורה הזאת באר היטב. וידבר משה בכהנים הלוויים אל כל ישראל לאמור, הסכת ושמע ישראל, היום הזה נהיית לעם לאדוני אלוהיך, ושמעת בקול אדוני אלוהיך, ועשית את מצוותיו וחוקיו אשר אנוכי מצווך היום.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We take a break in our Torah service to say a Shabbat, a prayer of healing to those in our community, our friends and our family who are ill. We'll start the prayer. We've got a long list of names of people who our community is thinking of today who are sick. If you have names to add, you can say them quietly to yourself, or you can raise your hand and we'll go around the room, names in Hebrew or in English or any other language, to send up these prayers to God and remind ourselves of people we should be checking in on and taking care of. Yishaberach Avotenu Abraham Yitzchak Yaakov, Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah Yivarech Yerpei Tacholim, Menucha bat Necha Shlomo ben Rivka Rivka bat Sarah, Adam ben Chava Hannah bat Chava, Yosef ben Rachel Moshe ben Fega Lazer ben Chava, Moshe ben Yehudit Shimon ben Mazal, Yaakov ben Moshe Yehudit bat Sarah Imenu, Reuven Michael ben Shirley Tali bat Sarah, Zipporah bat Leah, Sarah Fega bat Esther Gusha Yehudit Bluma bat Sarah, Lavi Aryeh ben Chana Sarah bat Esther Rivka bat Sarah, Miriam bat Dorit Baruch ben David Harav Chaim Yaakov ben Pesha, Dora bat Golda Yehudit bat Zara Yocheved Miriam bat Esther, Pinchas ben Tzvia Chaya Malka bat Ruchel, Yoram ben Chanalea, Sheldon Kaminsky, Rob Silverstein, Bobby Sachs, Madeline Morris Darling, Cassandra Hosher, Ann Nathan, Shirley Rutkovitz, Jeff Blakely, Al Sanderson, John Ogle, Vivian Sterling, Leah Chana bat Batya Reina, Israel Abraham ben Fega, Aharona Bendel bat Rivka, Yonatan Reuven ben Rivka, Abraham Menashe ben Simcha, Yosef ben Esav, Yosef ben Sarah, Shendel bat Basha, Yosef ben Vora, Abraham ben Vida, Racha bat Miriam, Rivka bat Henya, Sarah bat Esther, Chava Freda bat Meiranoga, Dielet bat Simon, Gabriela bat Ayala. Debbie. Miles. Steve. Others have things to add. Cheryl.
Okay. Chaya Malka bat Ruchel, Baruch Daniel ben Chaviva, Chana Micha bat Chaviva, Batya bat Renana, Sammy Carter, John Nickel, Elliot and Doreen Math, Robin Lund, Larry Lewinson, Gila Block, Rabbi David Block.
Kol hacholim b'kihilatenu hakadosh baruch hu le'rachmim alehem. Ahachzikam l'rakotam yishlach lahem herer refuah shalom v'shamayim. Ot hanefesh yifuter guf. Shabbatinu lizok refuah krova lavo hashta ba'agala v'zman karib v'nomar amen. A speedy, a full, a beautiful recovery to all of those who seek it. Even the names that we've forgotten today, we'll remember in a few minutes or tomorrow. May they know a speedy and a full recovery and strength to those, the doctors, the nurses, the friends and families who are taking care of them. So we say Amen. Amen. For the sixth Aliyah, we call up Chelsea and Andrew, whose wedding is coming up in just a couple of days. Raphael, David ben Abraham, Verena Chava, Liron, Mat Ram, Shachnaz, she.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach, Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'na'atamanu le'torato, Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen.
Amen. Vaitzav Moshe Ta'am Bayom Hahu Lemor Hele Ya'amdu Levarech Et Ta'am Al Har Gerizim Ve'avrechem Et Hayarden Shimon V'Levi V'Yehuda Ve'Yisachar ve'Yosef u'Vinyamin ve'ele ya'amdu al haklala behar Eval Reuven Gad ve'Asher Uzvulun Dan ve'Naftali V'anu halviim v'amru el kol ish Yisrael kol ram harum ha'ish asher ya'aseh Vesel secha to avat Adonai Maaseh Yedei Harash V'sam Basater Ve'anu Kulam V'amru Amen Arur Makle Aviv Ve'imo V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Masi Gevul Re'ehu V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Mashke Iver Baderech V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Mateh Mishpat Geriatom V'almana V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Shochev Im Eshet Aviv Ki Gila Kenaf Aviv V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Shocher Im Kol Bahema V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Shochev Im Achoto Bat Aviv O Vatimo V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Shochev Im Chotanto V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Makere'ehu Basater V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Lokeach Shulchan Lahakod Nefesh Dam Naki V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Arur Asher Lo Yakim Et Divrei HaTorah Hazot Le'asot Otam V'amar Kol Ha'am Amen Ve'haya Im Shamo Atishma Be'kol Adonai Elohecha Lishmor la'asot et kol mitzvotav asher anochi mitzavecha hayom untancha Adonai Elohecha elyon al kol goyei haaretz uva'u alecha kol habrachot ha'ele v'hisigucha Ki tishma bekol Adonai Elohecha Baruch atah ba'ir uvaruch atah basadeh.
We've been waiting for this moment for a very, very long time. 2 years ago, we started talking about your wedding, and then we talked about, do we have to postpone it? And then we talked about postponing, and then we picked a new date, and we postponed it again. And so it's nice to be able to give you blessings today, and once again, in 8 days or so, in 5 hours and 6 minutes, to once again be able to bless you under a chuppah. I'm glad you come into our community to have this blessing here. This is called the Ufruf. It's the Shabbat close to the wedding where we get to give you a little blessing. And the Torah portion that Cheryl just read as you bless the Torah It's something that actually Rabbi Rachel spoke about last night, is what are the things that we can all agree on? What are the things that we can all say amen when we hear? There's not a lot of things these days that it seems everybody can agree on. So we try to come up with what those things are, and that's kind of what a marriage is about, is can you form a life the two of you can say amen. You don't always have to be on the exact same page, but the communication is key. David, can you come up here for a second? This will make the wedding much more interesting if somebody's holding a baby. All right, you can go the other way, that's fine too. And so what are the things that we can all say amen to? And the last words of the Torah reading said, Baruch atah ba'ir, Baruch atah b'sadeh, that may you be blessed ba'ir in the city, and Baruch atah b'sadeh, may you be blessed in your field. And so I hope that wherever you go in life, that as you travel this world together, ba'ir, that our rabbis of 1,000 years ago said, ba'ir means in your home. May you be blessed everywhere you go in your home, wherever you live, wherever you dwell, wherever you travel. May you find blessings there. May you keep your eyes open to all the blessings that are in your life there. And Baruch atah b'sadeh, may you be blessed in your field, in the work that you go into, in the kindness that you bring into the world, and making sure the world is smiling a little bit brighter. May you bring blessings there everywhere you go. And the line after that, which she didn't read for us, but we can still think about it because I hope that it's something we don't say amen to, is may all of the, everything you put out into the world, whether it is children or animals or any other good things you put out into the world, may they all find blessings. And to that we all say, amen. And people all say amen to the idea that you should have blessings everywhere you go. We'll give you one blessing up here before these people, this community, these mostly strangers who are here to celebrate Katie and have a bagel, get to sing to you Siman Tov and Mazel Tov. But first, the blessing. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah, Vivarech et Hechatan, Raphael David ben Avraham Verina Chava, Ve'et Hakala Liron Bat Ram Ve'Shatnaz, Asher B'Karov Yikansu L'Chupa, Ba'avur She'alu Lichvor HaMakom Lichvor HaTorah, Lichvor HaShabbat. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yadrechem Livnot Bayit B'Yisrael, Bayit bo yishkenu ahava va'achva, shalom lereut, bayit bo yigadlu banim, v'vriut uva'osher, ve'ahavat Torah u'ma'asim tovim, ve'yishlach bracha, v'atzlacha v'chol ma'aseh yadeim, v'nomar amen. And the one who's blessed, those who came before us, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, all the way back to the people in this Torah. Bring blessings to this groom, Andrew Walt, and to this bride, Chelsea, director, who will be joined under the chuppah in a few days, and who have come for an aliyah with reverence for God and respect for the Torah and Shabbat. May the Holy Blessing One help them to build a Jewish home based on love and harmony, peace and companionship. May they be blessed with healthy children and lives imbued with happiness, love for Torah, and ma'asim tovim, good deeds. May God bring blessing and success to all their worthy endeavors, and let us all say, Amen. Amen. It has been our custom for about 50-something years here that for one of the aliyah, usually for the last one, we invite up all of the kids in the room to stand under a chuppah that the community has made, that people in this community decorated and sewed together. And so we would normally call up all of the kids and for people to hold the chuppah. So first we'll call up the people to hold the chuppah: Nick Brown, Robert Brown, Luke Brown, and Noah Deedle, to come up here and hold the legs of the chuppah. Come on up. But I also realized that Katie is the youngest child in her family. She's the youngest of the cousins, and of all of the B'nai Mitzvah that have been going on for the last 2 years for this Hebrew school class, she is, I believe she's the final one. So you know what we call the kids, We'll call it the kids, but also we'll call it the teenagers, because most of you are at this point well into your teenage years. Please come on up here, stand under the chuppah with us as we bless this Torah together. יעמדו כל הילדים וילדות וגיבורים וגדולים בקהילה היום.
Right up there.
Right now.
All right. All together, loudly.
You've done it a lot.
אמן. ברוך פרי בטנך ופרי אדמתך ופרי בהמתך שגר על אפיך ואשתות צונך. ברוך תנאך ומשעתך. ברוך אתה בבואך וברוך אתה בצאתך.
אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נשא בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
We're going to invite Katie up here now to say Chatzi Kaddish. Those who are able, please rise. We're going to lift and dress these first Sefer Torah. Phyllis, can I ask you to come and address the Torah for us? Ya'amod hamakriyat ta'amod hagolelet lesefer rishon. We're going to take a look at what we just read as Kevin lifts the Torah for us. You may be seated. At this moment now, we call up Sarah, we call up Catherine Sarah, to read from the Torah as an adult, as a bat mitzvah. So Rabbi Rachel, please call her up.
Ta'amod, 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 ta'amod. Habachur bat mitzvah, Sarah bat Shmuel, Nechemia uMiriam, Maftera chazaka.
Those following along in our Torah, in our Chumash, we're going to flip back out of page 854. Page 854 is the maftir that Katie will be reading for us. It is one that if you had your bar or bat mitzvah on this bima, there's a chance that you already know this one almost by heart. So feel free to, under your mask, whisper it to yourself because you might even know this one. At the bottom of the page of 854.
Baruch Adonai HaMorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayomer Adonai El Moshe Lemor Daber El Bnei Yisrael V'amarta lechem V'asu lechem tzitzit Al kanfei bigdeihem V'dorotam v'nanu Al tzitzit hakenaf V'tziot techelet V'haya lachem Letzitzit or item oto, uskartem, eko mitzvot Adonai, v'asitem otam, v'lo taturu, acharei vatchem, v'acharei nechem, asher atem zonim achareihem, leman tizkeru, v'asitem eko mitzvotai, v'item kedushim v'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher Chotzeiti Etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, L'hiyot lachem v'lochim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
To lift and tie the second Sefer Torah, we call up Wayne Beadle and Michael Weiss. Everybody else, please rise. Yamdu Hamakriya Mahagolel, the Sefer Sheni. Haftarah for this morning, the additional reading from the books of our prophets is on page 857. It is from the book of Joshua. It is about trying to figure out what happens when you get into that land. It takes place very soon after the Torah reading from this morning. We turn to page 857 as Katie chants for us the brachot, the blessings, as well as this fascinating story. If you like to read along in the English, to learn about the story of Joshua and how a stranger who wasn't one of us, a woman, saved the people of Israel. It's a wonderful story, page 857.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza b'divrahem hane'emarim be'emes Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe abdo Yisrael amo u'Nevi'ei ha'emet b'tzedek Vayishlach Yehoshua bin Nun min hashitim Shnayim anashim meraglim cheresh lemor lechu Re'u et haaretz ve'et Yericho vayelechu vayavo Beit Isha Zona Ushma Rachav Vayishkeru Shama Amar Lemelech Yericho Lemor Kinei Ba'u hena halayla mibnei Yisrael lachkor et haaretz vayishlach melech Yericho el Rachav lemor otzi ha'anashim haba'im elayich asher ba'u lebeitech Ki lach porei kol haaretz ba'u Vatikach ha'isha et shnei hanashim vatitpeno vatomer ken ba'u elai hanashim velo yadati me'ayin hema Vayehi hashar Izagor Vachoshech V'ha'anashim Yatza'u Lo Yadati Anhalhu Hanashim Rifu Maher Achareihem Kitasigum Vehi Pe'elatam Hagaga Batzimenem Befishte Ha'etz Ha'aruchot La Al Hagag V'ha'anashim Radfu Achareihem Derech HaYarden Al Hamaberot V'hasha'ar Sagaru Acharei Ka'asher Yatsu Harofim Achareihem Behema Terem Yishtabun Vehi Alta Alehem Al Hagag Batomer El HaNashim Yadati Kinatan Adonai Lachem Et Haaretz Vehi Nafla Imachem Aleinu Vehi Namogu Kol Yoshvei Haaretz Mipnechem Ki Shamanu Et Asher Hovish Adonai Et Miriam Suf Mipnechem Betzetchem Mitzrayim Ve'asher Asitem Lisnei Malchei Emori Asher Be'ever Hayarden Lesichon Uleog Asher Checheramtem Otam Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sor kol ha'olamim Tzadik b'chol hadarot Ha'el ha'ne'eman Ha'omer Yosef Hamdaber u'mkayem Shekol davara emet b'tzedek Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu V'ne'emanim devarecha Bedavar echad mivarecha, ahor lo yashuv rekam, ki hamelech ne'eman, v'rachaman ata, baruch ata Adonai. Shekol devara emet b'tzedek. Rachem al Tzion, ki hi beit hayenu. V'la'alu ba'nefesh toshia, v'imhira yameinu, baruch ata Adonai, mesameach Tzion v'banecha. Sancheinu Adonai Eloheinu, ve'Eliyahu hanavi adecha, u'malchut beit David meshihecha, v'imhira yavo v'yagel libeinu. Al kiso lo yeshev zar, velo yinchalu od achrim et kivodo. Ki b'shem kodecha nishbata lo, shilo yechvei neiro le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, Rabben David. Al haTorah, al ha'avodah, al havim. Bel Yom HaShabbat Hazeh, Shenatata Lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Likdosha U'Limnucha, Lechavod U'Tifares, Al HaKol, Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu Modim Lach, Umbarchim Otach, Yitbarach Shimcha, B'fi Bohai Tamid, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, V'kadesh HaShabbat.
Yasher Koach, Katie. Yasher Koach, Katie, thank you for chanting that so beautifully. Thank you to Katie and our other Torah readers, to Rivka, to Cheryl, John, and Zvi. Very much appreciated your Torah reading today. We now invite up Annie to lead us in a responsive English reading. So you can put your red-ish Etzchaim Chumash away. We're in the blue Siddur. This is not something that's in the online Siddur, just so if you're in the room or in the, no, blue Siddur. On page 769, page 769, the power of the word, and we'll respond every other paragraph.
Words are like diamonds. They can be things of beauty or sharp cutting tools.
Worry weighs a person down, but a cheerful word brings gladness.
There are those whose words pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise has the power to heal.
A soft answer turns away wrath, but a grievous word stirs up anger.
Like a city broken down and without a wall is one whose temper and speech are uncontrolled.
One who is slow to anger is stronger than the mighty. One who is restrained is mightier than the conqueror.
One who guards both mouth and tongue keeps the soul from great trouble.
Before the word is spoken, we are its master. After it is spoken, the word is our master.
Both life and death are within the power of the tongue, and they that use it well shall enjoy its fruit.
Keep my tongue from evil, O Lord, and my lips from speaking guile.
Help me to speak the truth at all times. Help me to speak it with kindness and with care.
Truth is the bridge between heaven and earth, the brightest jewel in the crown of virtue.
Truth is the seal of God. Those who have the truth in their hands have God for their God.
Speech is one of God's greatest gifts to us. May we use it in ways which honor God's name. Thank you very much, Anne. We'll invite Katie back up to the Bima now to lead us in Ashrei, back in our Siddur on page 336. If you're joining us online, we're on page 181. Here in this room is page 336.
Ashrei shnei beitecha, o yehalucha selah.
Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo, ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Elohav.
Tehillah l'David, aramimcha Elohai chamelech, v'avarcha shimcha le'olam va'ed.
V'echol yom avartecha, v'ashimcha le'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai u'nehulo me'od, v'lidulato ein cheker.
Dor l'dor yishabach ma'asecha, u'vorotecha yagidu.
Dar kibod chodecha, divrei niflotecha asicha.
Ve'ezuv norotecha yomeru, u'dulatcha asaprena.
Zecher rabtucha yavidu, zikatcha yiranenu.
Anu b'rachum Adonai, erech apai mu'gol chased.
Tov Adonai lakol, rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha.
Kibod malchuta yomeru, ogedu echad yidaberu.
Lehodia v'nei adam gvurotav, v'odar malchuto.
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador.
Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zokef lechol ha'chrufim.
Einecho elecha yisaberu, ve'atanotin lachem e'achlam be'ito.
Poteach et yadecha, u'maskil lechol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav, v'chasid b'chol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai lechol korav, lechol asher yitrebuhu be'emet.
Ritzon yire'av ya'asef, ve'et Shabbatam yishlam yoshim.
Shomer Adonai kol ohavav, et kol harshaim yashmi.
Tehilat Adonai yedaber pi, v'yivarech kol basar, shem kudusho le'olam va'ed.
V'yivarech Yah, ve'atah yad olam. If you're able, please rise and prepare to put the secret Torah back in the ark. Kevin, can you come up here to take one of the Torahs, and the whole family will follow along with us.
Yalelu et Shem Adonai, ki nizkar shemo levado. Hodu al eretz v'shamayim, v'yorem kerem le'olam.
You may be seated.
I love that moment. I just asked a group of people, what's your favorite moment of prayer in your life? What moment speaks to you? And for me, it's that when we put the Torah back. We have that moment where we're all singing. If you know it, you're singing. And even if you don't know which note to hit, somehow that na shuva, and then you hit, is it a dissonant chord? Yeah, right. So yeah, any note you hit in there, pick a note, and it just sounds like it blends with everybody else. It's just really incredible. We invite Katie up now. She's been doing a lot of Hebrew in the last couple hours. And now we're going to ask her to do something for us in Aramaic. No, in English. Teach us a little bit about what we just read in the Torah.
Shabbat Shalom. This morning I read from the Torah portion, Shalach Laha, which is found in the book of Numbers. Shalach Laha translates to send for yourself or send to you. Shalach Laha can also be understood as think for yourself or see for yourself. My Torah portion teaches us the importance of having a growth mindset when it comes to dealing with tough challenges. The Torah portion I read this morning teaches the story of God telling Moses to go for himself, Shalach Laha, to see the promised land. Moses decided to choose 12 spies to explore the promised land and come back with information on the land and its inhabitants. After 40 days, the spies returned to Moses with mixed feedback. 10 of the 12 spies described the land as uninhabitable, claiming that the land was ruled by giants and that conquering the land would be impossible. The remaining 2 spies, Joshua and Caleb, shared a totally different perspective. They described the promised land as habitable and abundant. Joshua and Caleb had something called a growth mindset. A growth mindset is a way of thinking that considers new possibilities. It's about being open and flexible to new perspectives and about not being afraid to fail. Unlike the optimistic perspective of Joshua and Caleb, the 10 other spies had a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset keeps people stuck in a rigid style of thinking. I personally connected with my Torah portion about the theme of accepting new challenges with an open and positive attitude. For example, becoming a bar mitzvah a year later than originally planned coincides with me starting high school. My first few days and weeks of high school call for being open to new ways of thinking and accepting new challenges, like trying to manage my sleep schedule. Prior to the pandemic, I designed my bar mitzvah service project to support children and adolescents with special needs. This idea was inspired by my 5th grade teacher. She often talked about how much her son loved bundt cakes, and I came to learn that her 20-year-old son had autism and attended a special needs school. Through my teacher, my mom and I met with their son's school principal. I designed a service project of selling bundt cakes to my neighborhood and family friends to raise money to donate towards the school's fitness room. I designed a digital marketing flyer and form on Google to promote my fundraiser and take cupcake orders. I was able to deliver a check for $600 and a flat screen TV for their fitness center. Today, I also have the honor of remembering Rachel Herman through the Remember Us Project. Rachel was born in Poland in 1939. Tragically, Rachel died in the Holocaust in 1942 when she was 3 years old. Rachel never had the chance to become a bar mitzvah like me. It's very important that we all remember the genocide that killed 6 million Jews, 1.5 of them being children. I'm dedicating my bar mitzvah to Rachel Herman. In Rachel Herman's honor, there's an empty chair on the bima. My grandmother on my dad's side has the same Hebrew and maiden name as Rachel Herman. My speech wouldn't be complete without thanking those who helped me become the person I am today and helped me prepare for my bar mitzvah. I'd like to thank my mom and dad for always supporting me and loving me. And to my siblings, Annie and Tommy, thank you for being my siblings. I would also like to thank my amazing grandparents who are here today that love me and inspire me. And also thank you to my cousins, aunts, uncles, and extended family for being here today. I would also like to give a shout out to all my friends. Thank you for being here today and showing me care. And finally, I want to thank my Hebrew tutor, Rivka Hazam Pablo and Rabbi Aberbach for preparing me for this day and encouraging me to do my best. Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, wait. Come back here. You stand over there. You're good. In a minute, Joyce will present these to you. But I keep thinking about the fact that your bar mitzvah was supposed to be a while ago, and then it got pushed, and then it got pushed, and then it got rescheduled. And what that means. And the fact that this morning, as you put on your talit, we talked about the fact that wherever you go in the future, this beautiful tallis from Jerusalem is going to go with you. So when you're back here for a bat mitzvah, a bar mitzvah, Rosh Hashanah, any of the holidays, any Shabbat, wherever you go in the world, don't take any of them. Wherever you go in the world, this is going to follow you wherever you go. And had you been bat mitzvah a couple weeks ago, like was the plan, or a couple months ago, like was the plan, or a year ago, like was the plan, you would have done the same prayers. And had you been at a different synagogue, had you been in Jerusalem or Costa Rica or Japan, the same prayers with mostly the same melodies would have been done. And if you took our Temple at Time machine, which is right now under repair, but otherwise exists, I promise. And if you took this time machine and you went back 2 years or 50 years or 1,000 years and to Parshat Shlach Lecha, you'd be reading this, they'd be reading the same thing that you read today. If you went back to the south of France or to Egypt 2,000 years ago and you found a shul, they'd be doing the same thing there that you did today. And wherever you go in life, this Judaism is with you. And the part that you read in the Torah today, you've now read twice on this bima this morning, that some of your friends who are here have read on the bima for their B'nai Mitzvah. That whole part that we say every morning and every night talks about these tzitzit. We hold them together when we say that line, and we kiss them. Not because we're showing love to them, but because we want these words of wisdom to come to our mouth. We're bringing these words to our mouth, and these represent all the mitzvot, all the commandments. I hope that wherever you go in life, you will feel that the mitzvot are with you, that the love of this community is with you, that the words in this moment here that seems so fleeting and it's almost over, that this moment is with you wherever you go. And every time you put on this tallis, and the verb there is lehit atef, which doesn't mean to drape on your shoulders, but to wrap yourself with. Every time you wrap yourself with this talit, helps you feel like you're wrapped in this moment, you're wrapped in your friends and your family. I'd like to invite Joyce to the microphone to present you with a certificate and some gifts.
Katie, you, as Rabbi just said, you led services beautifully, and all of us are so proud of you. And most importantly, I hope that you are proud of yourself. It has really been a pleasure to watch you grow up from a young girl that started religious school to this beautiful young woman who's standing and gracing our bima today. Your teachers always commented what a wonderful student you were and continue to be, and we're always a friend to everyone who came in your path. I also am very happy that you have continued your Jewish education by attending our confirmation program, and I look forward to sharing much more in your educational endeavors to come. I would like to present you with your Bat Mitzvah certificate. It has your name, it has the date that you will never forget, signed by our rabbi, myself, and leadership within our temple. I hope that every time you look at this certificate, that you feel this pride your Jewish heritage, in your love of Judaism, and in this moment when everyone is just so proud of you and loves you so much. So every time you look at that, I hope you remember that this moment. In this bag are beautiful gifts. There's gifts from our board of directors, from our women of TC, from our men's club, and from the USY. And I keep saying this, but I really hope you do this. I keep saying it to many students, is what I'm trying to say. Open these gifts today, tomorrow. Use them. There's the Torah is in there in English, easy to read, but so many stories and so many things to learn from and to experience. Also, you have candlesticks, candle holders to do Shabbat. There is there's a mezuzah in there and some other things. What I want you to do is start your own traditions within your life, that whenever you look at these things, you can remember this day having received these things and again, using them throughout your life. And so I want to wish you a mazel tov. I want to wish your parents a mazel tov. And I look forward to sharing many more simchas with you and your family.
I'd like to ask your parents to stand up right where they are. Kevin and Amy have been leaders in our community for years. This celebrating their fourth simcha on this bima, as Amy spoke about earlier. And I hope there's many more times to bless your family on this bima. How proud your parents must be to have you reach this moment. I'd ask your brother and sister to stand up too. I love what you said. Thank you for being my siblings. I hope that they, it's like, I'm trying to read into that. I hope that they continue to encourage you to pave a path forward for you so that you know how to go about life, but also shlach lecha, that you can go for yourself and discover your own thing. So even though they hopefully blaze a trail for you, you can use that trail and also take some side views along the way. I'd like to invite your grandparents to stand up. Your grandfather was telling me last night that, was it his father started a shul in Toronto? Your grandfather. So Katie, your great-grandfather started a shul in Toronto. It's now one of the biggest synagogues, I would say in the country, in the continent. And to think that we have 3 shuls from Toronto, at least represented here, as well as from other around the world. How much Judaism has meant to your family. I hope that you continue that tradition, that you establish your own Judaism. I invite your aunts and uncles and cousins who are here to stand up, or at least 2 of them as represent. Okay, you got more representatives of the extended family. I hope that you learn from them, and that these are people who have loved you since before you were born, who have known you your entire life. And hopefully you make them better people and they make you better people. I want to ask your friends to rise, family friends, extended friends, people who you've gotten to celebrate with. With a lot of these people you've gone through school or Hebrew school, you've danced at B'nai Mitzvah during normal times, and you have worn masks during very unnormal times. And I hope that they're with you on this journey for a very long time. These are some good people. I know a whole row of these people and maybe more. These are really, really good people. And I hope that you keep making them better, they keep making you better. And I want to ask the community to stand up. If you're here for any other reason today, you got lost on the way somewhere else, there's air conditioning here, please rise. Katie, this is your shul. For the last couple of weeks, you've been leading us on Shabbos morning, on Sunday morning. You've been being counted in the minyan now officially. And to think that hopefully you'll come back and you'll keep leading our minyan, you'll keep being counted as part of our community to help keep bring blessings into this space. And we'll give you a blessing now. It's a blessing we've been passing along for a long time. It's one that we'll give to Chelsea and Andrew next week under the chuppah. You're all invited. I'll give you guys invitations. You're all invited to the chuppah as well, to make sure that this blessing continues from the times of Moses and Aaron and Miriam all the way through 3,300 years later to today. So look out at let's invite your parents to stand up here with you as we give you, and they'll put their hands on your shoulders as we give you this blessing, a blessing that you were given at your baby naming, and will give you many times more in the future.
B'rech Adonai v'yishmerecha.
So may God continue to bless you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha.
So may God's light shine on you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
So may God's face be pointed towards you and show you a lifetime of peace. And to that we say, Amen.
Amen.
Now we shower Katie, we shower Sarah with sweetness. We sing Simon Tov. Katie, I got it right here. Katie, I got it right here. Katie. Page 357, or on line page 185, in Musaf Amidah. We'll begin the first two pages together, and after that, we continue. When you're finished with your personal prayer, once again, be submitted.
Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Yaakov Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Yaakov Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'achol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'achol Yisrael, ve'imru Amen.
Kaddish Shalem, page 398. If you're joining us online, page 203.
Yikadam Yikadai Shemei Rabba Ve'alma Divra Chirte Yam Lich Malchute Ve'chaychonu Yomechon U'chaye Decho Be'Yisrael Ve'agala U'bizman Kari Ve'imiru Amen Yehi Shemei Rabba Me'orach Le'olam Le'olam Yitzarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'roman v'naseh v'yithadar v'alev v'halal shemei v'kudish yavredu le'elam yimkol v'yachata v'shirata tush v'chata v'nechemata ta'amiran v'ama v'imiru Amen Titzvah soton uv'uchon Yeho Yisrael kadam avuchon yivishmaya ve'imiru Amen Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shmaya V'chaim Aleinu V'Akol Yisrael Ve'imiru Amen Osei Shalom B'Romav U'yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Akol Yisrael Ve'imiru
Amen. Page 400 or on line 204, Ein Kelohim. We invite Andy and Tommy back up here for their encore to open up the ark for us. Those who are able, please rise. On page 402 is Aleinu, or if you're joining us online, page 205, the words of Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shameach l'adon hakol, l'hatei degel olam l'zeher breshit, shelo asanu kegoyim haratzot, velo zamanu kemishpechot
May be seated. This week it's with sadness we note the passing of Deborah Renee Blum. May her memory continue to bless all of those who knew her and learned with her and played bingo with her and ate with her and shared time with her. In addition, our community this week notes the yard sites of Norman Epstein, Harold Greenberg, Evelyn Feldman, Laurel Globus, Francis Portnoy, Benny Schaefer, William Edelstein, Charles Alov, Anita Ethel Cooper, Rachel Funk, David Steiner, Jacob Rosenbaum, Catherine Schwartz, Semyon Schulman, Rose C. Pickman, Bertha Rosen, Helen Tytler, Everett Volk, Sylvia Zimring, Donald Schwartz, Saul Jaffe, Emmanuel Zahavi, Edith Bugaiski, Stuart Kamen, Oscar Golden, Gail Lynn Shapiro, Charles Dursky, David Spurn, Sarah Zimmerman Weinstein, Cynthia Lerner, Samuel Nannis, Sophie Walker, Annette Sherman, Bertha Farber, and Etta Kagan. May their memories be beautiful ones. Are there names to add to our list today? Or anybody want to have a memory to share with the community? Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, George. Remember the people who were killed in the attacks in Afghanistan. Thank you. We should look out to add those names each week. Unfortunately, that'd be very kind. So thank you. May their memories be for a blessing, and remember them and hear stories about them in the years to come. Those who are in a period of mourning or observing a yard site, please rise and join us in Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 410 or online page 207. Page 410. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shmei rava ve'alma yivarak yirutei ve'amnich malchutei v'chayechom u'vyomechom u'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ha'adala u'bizman karim ve'imru amen Yehei shmei rava mevorach le'olam l'omei olaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yit hadar, v'yit alev, v'yit halal, shemei d'kudusha, b'richu, le'ela, min kol birchata v'shirata, tush v'chata v'nechamata, da'amiran de'alma v'imru amen, yehei shalama rava min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen, osei shalom b'mirumav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael Amen. May be seated. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining us, whether in person or online. We appreciate that you are here and celebrating with us and with the Needle family and with the Wolf Director families. It's so beautiful to be able to celebrate with all of you. Tonight, in addition to celebrations, there is a slichot service outside at 7:30 p.m. It's a time for us to get in the headspace, in the mood for high holidays. If you're dropping off a kid here, hey, you want to stick around for a quick service and Havdalah and some learning and some nash. And then tomorrow morning, Shmooza Palooza, come and pick up all of this stuff you need for the high holidays. And the week unrolls beyond that as normal. We say a special blessing every time something happens for the first time. We want it to happen again. So when for a bat mitzvah, we would love to say, we would love for to be in a growth mindset as we were taught today, and to have more celebrations like this one, have more Didel celebrations and more times to bless Katie on the bima. And this is also, we say this Shehechianu, thanking God for letting us reach this moment. Every time something new happens, and I believe, and our historians will correct me if I am mistaken, I believe this is the first time that TikTok influencer was set on our bima. So it's a very exciting, I'm sure it will happen again. So for all of these things, all of these wonderful things, and the fact that we're together, we say Shehechianu, if you're able, please rise. This is our last time. So stand up. If you know the people next to you and you're caught with them and you're comfortable with them, put your arms around each other as we sing Shehechianu. Katie, go join your family down there.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higiyanu b'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
And if you haven't gotten a piece of candy, a good idea to have a piece of candy. Otherwise, this candy will be recycled every week until David's bar mitzvah, which is like in 11 years. So we'll say Kiddush and Motzi. You can remain standing. This is a time when some people take off their talis, if you like to. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam, beini uvein b'nei Yisrael ot hilei olam. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ והיום השביעי שבת וינפש על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו ספרי ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו Katie, you want to lead us in Motzi? All right, Katie, can you lead us in Motzi? You know this one.
Yeah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam motzi v'echet
Shabbat Shalom.